Hi, Brenda here with a Valentine box. This is just a box I got at Joann's. Here, I'll take this stuff out here. That's some of my stuff I was thinking about for the cover. Anyway, just a box. It was kind of shiny, and so the ink, tried to ink the edges, wouldn't stay, so it would wipe off on your hands. So I used my file and I gave it it's nice and bendy. It's curved around and gave it a file, and then it took the ink just fine, and then I sprayed with my clear matte finish just to be sure nothing would come off, because I really like the look. So I just took it outside and gave it a spray, and nothing comes off now. I really like it. It still looks distressed and not uniform. It came out just the way I wanted it to. So as you can see, I've only put on the top piece here. I haven't done anything else because I wanted to show you what it looked like before I put the rest of the paper on, and show you how I did this part. So you can see how messy I was. It doesn't matter, you're going to cover it all up with paper. And so you don't have to ink. You could just go with the white look. And I like the look of it, so it would be simpler, I suppose, if you didn't try to sand and ink. It just depends on what kind of paper you're using, and mine kind of went with the distressed look. So anyway, I want to talk about this part right here and how you cut this out. I use a piece of scratch paper and I lay it on top where I want the paper to start from the corner here, and then I use my pencil and I draw. You can feel it, so you can press right into it and get a impression in your paper. And you can use your pencil and draw around it, and then you'll have your shape. And so you want to, when you actually cut, you want to cut just inside, because it's okay to have a little too much paper. You can always cut a little more, but if you cut too far this way, you can't go back. So better to cut a little and then cut a little more if you have to. So you draw your shape, and then what I did was then I took my piece here and I drew it on the other side too. See? A little artist trick for transferring. And then just drew over it and transferred the pencil down onto to my paper, and used my X-Acto knife to cut it out. So I'm going to show you, since this one's already done, I want to show you how I did the front piece, which was a little harder because it's got this thing protruding right here. So the same sort of thing. I laid my piece up here, and I marked on my paper from the corner where I want it to start, right here, over, so that when I lined this up with my piece, that it would be in the right spot. So I just lined it up, and I made little marks where I needed to cut the slice for this, and I just gave a little slice in my paper so that I could slide this up over here, like this. So there was paper all here. I just had one little slice right here where I slid it up here, and then I did the same thing I did on the other side. I pressed it down with my fingers, and I did a draw around again like I did for the other one. So you have a perfect fit there. And then I took my stencil, my drawing, and I cut it out with an X-Acto blade. And this is what I have. So then I take this stencil that I know fits perfect on here, And then I use my piece that's going to fit here. Actually, first thing I did was hold my piece up and gave it 2 little marks, so I know exactly where I want it to be on this page. And then I held my stencil on the back. So it'll go from the corner, this corner, over. There's my 2 little marks. And on the back side is where I draw the stencil. And then now all I have to do is take my X-Acto blade now and cut this little piece out. And again, don't cut too much, rather that you put it on and say, oh, I need to cut a little more here and a little more there, and then recut again. Because if you cut too much to begin with, you can't go back. Unless you have several pieces of paper that you're working with for your box and that you're not worried that you'll chop up your paper, you want to be very careful when you cut this. In fact, practice a few times before you use your actual paper. That's what I did. So that's how you do this piece right here. That's what I did. So I've cut all my pieces. They're here. I've cut for the inside and the bottom and all the sides. So these are my pages. What I found from doing this is you really need 2 of everything you're using, which was a problem for me, but it worked out okay. And I think I'm going to use these great white flowers I found. They're kind of flat, so I'm trying to keep it a low profile here. I'm going to do a little inking with the gray, I think maybe, and the postcard for my cover. I'm going to keep it really simple. So got all the pieces cut and inked. I inked my edges. I didn't ink the inside of the box because obviously I cannot file into the corners, so or you know, give it a roughness. So I'm not going to worry about the inside of the box, and I'm just going to make my paper go all the way to the edges so you won't see any of the box, and that's the plan. Let's see, what did I forget to talk about? Oh, my boxes. I wanted to talk about my boxes really quickly. These are my boxes, and so this is why I think this is such a great project. This is a box my grandfather made for me. He made it. He was a woodworker, and it's got grandfather and grandmother mementos in it. And this is my box for when my son was a baby. His hat and his shoes and a little teddy that we got at the hospital and cards and when I was pregnant. So this, my son is 15. That's how old this box is. So these boxes have been around for a long time. You can do them in any theme. You can do them in baby. You can do them in Valentine's. You can just do them in just treasures that you want to save. Whatever your theme is, just pick your paper and glam it up. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to now attach all my papers. So I don't really have measurements because it really depends on your box. So I just held my paper up, I used my pencil, I did a little mark, and that's how I did my cutting. Because, you know, boxes aren't perfect, and so that's what I recommend you do. So you really have to plan it out first, you know what papers you're going to use. And so that's it. I think that's it. I'll be back with another video tomorrow to show what it looks like all with all the paper on it. Okay. I'll be back. Keep scrubbing.